All right, let's sketch the graph for y equals negative x squared minus 6x minus 5. We need to find our vertex involving the point h and k. H is negative b over 2a, so we need to find out what those are. So we're going to go label ax squared plus bx plus c. We see that b is negative 6 and a is going to be a negative sign, but we just put a 1 after it, so a is negative 1. Okay, so let's go plug it in. We have negative from the formula, plug in for b, 2, and then we plug in for a. Remember we said that b was negative 6 and a was negative 1. A couple things that this lead coefficient of negative tells us. It tells us that our graph is going to open downward, which makes our vertex our max. Okay, so now let's clean up our work here. Negative a negative 6 is positive 6. 2 times negative 1 is negative 2. 6 over negative 2 is negative 3. Okay, so now we take and we find our k by setting x equal to negative 3. Okay, so our original formula is negative x squared minus 6 times x minus 5. We said that x was negative 3, so here we plug in negative 3. Negative 3 squared is 9, but I got to apply the negative, so it's negative 9. Negative 6 times negative 3 is positive 18. We minus 5. So let's combine negative 9 and negative 5 because they're the same signs. So we're going to get negative 14 plus the 18, which is 18 minus 14, which is 4. So that means that we have a vertex at negative 3 and 4. Okay, so now let's go factor this to find our points, or to find our roots. So we're going to be factoring, or we're going to find our points. So we're going to factor, though. We have negative 1x squared minus 6x minus 5. Okay, so what that means is with this being a lead coefficient of negative 1, I actually got to factor that out. So I'm going to divide everything by negative 1. So we have negative 1 on the outside of our parentheses because this is our GCF. Okay, negative 1 over negative 1 is 1, so we just have x squared. Negative 6 over negative 1 is positive 6x, and negative 5 over negative 1 is positive 5. Now we look for the factors of 5. 5, we have 1 times 5, that's it. They need to be the same sign and positive. So we make them both positive. Okay, so again, x squared is x and x. So we're going to pair this x with a positive 1. We're going to pair this x with a positive 5. So we're going to write those in parentheses. So I'm going to have x plus 1 and x plus 5 equals 0. We're going to set those two equal to 0, so we have x plus 1 equals 0, and x plus 5 equals 0. Let's solve each of those for x. So we have x equals negative 1, and x equals negative 5. So let's go graph our vertex of negative 3, 4, negative 1, and negative 5. Okay, so negative 3 and 4. Okay, we go negative 3, up 4, put a point. Then we have negative 5 as one vertex and negative 1 as the other, root, I'm sorry. So now let's draw on our line. So we go curve through there, draw down, curve through there. And there's the graph.